Okay, we are live.
All right, welcome everyone to our budget meeting. This will be discussing September budget packet, and we are here, and Michael will lead us off.
All right. So we're here to talk about our September budget package. So if you should have that from our last meeting. We passed those out. Page 1, this is our sales tax revenue, sales tax comparison. In September, we took in $342,867 in sales tax revenue. That was up over the previous year about $16,887, which is about a 5% increase over the previous year. For the year, we're running at 2.461. Last year at the same time, 2.416, up about $44,000 for an increase of 1.83%. We don't have it listed on here because we are not to those months yet, but we have received our numbers for October, which was up an additional $16,000, and our number for November, which was down $11,000. Overall, at this point in the year, we're up $49,272 at a 1.63% increase. Page 2, this is the charts just showing the year-over-year comparisons for 23, 24, and 25. So you can kind of see how we've done in the previous years. Page 3, this is our sales and use tax distribution. It was collected by the merchants in July. It was remitted to the state in August. We received it in September. The amount that went into the general fund was $257,741. $60,000 went to streets, $64,000 went to parks, $25,000 went to our bond payment. The next page is the remittance from the state that we receive. This just shows you that there were $418,429.72 deposited into the tax, the service charge, the interest earned, and it netted us $407,155.11. Page 5 is the breakout, 1%, 1%, and then the 0.25%, and then the 0.125%. So it shows you how that was broke out. Page 6, this is our sales tax by category collected. We had $418,000 collected. $4,188 was from contractors. $4,224 was from manufacturing. $10,963 from wholesale. $133,000 from retail. $22,000 from electronic shopping and mail order, $7,600 from informational services, $90,452 from lodging, food and beverage was $69,003.95, and miscellaneous $76,079. That percentage is about 31% was retail, 16% food and beverage, and 21% is lodging. Page 7, you'll see a graph that shows that per category, with retail being the largest, then lodging, and miscellaneous and food and beverage. Okay, good question?
Yeah, did we ever determine whether that retailer section, I'm assuming that includes retail sales from like Walmart online?
The online section that the mail order part, we pulled that out. That's the electronic shopping and mail order catalog. Or that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one down. We do pull that out of retailers to see that that was different. Harry had asked us to do that, so that's separate.
So retailers includes what? Anything?
The detail is on the next few pages. I believe the retailers start on page 9 with automotive parts and tire retailers. You got appliance stores, building, grocery, health and personal care, clothing, shoes. It goes on down. Right there at 45, 41 is electronic shopping. We take it out. 43. Then you've got your super centers, work clubs. On page 10, it keeps on going down to, we stop at 4931, which is warehousing and storage.
So I guess my question is, because I'm just trying to understand, so like if someone orders through Walmart Plus, for example, that happens in Berryville, but the order would happen here, would that probably fall under retailers then because of the wholesale club, et cetera, grocery?
I think that would fall under the 4541, which is the electronic shopping and mail order. So
That seems crazy
I
to
don't
me.
know. That's the piece that we pulled out because we don't get a lot of detail on this. This is the most detail we can get from the state. So,
Because it's just such a high percentage, so, okay.
any more questions about that detail? Okay. On page 12, this is our revenue and expenditure report. Through the end of September 2025, we'll have completed 74.79% of our year. Our total income that has come in is $8,524,136, which is 66% of what we had projected. And then our expenses are at 8.82 million, which is about 70% of what we had projected. So expenses are down a little bit, income's down. You can see on farther down, we've had capital infusions, money we've taken out of our account to pay for individual capital items. And so those are infusions of capital that are back into the overall number. Following that, for the next few pages, is the detail that makes up those numbers. If y'all have any questions through there, we can discuss them.
I did have some questions about water, wastewater, and also transit.
Okay.
But I don't want to jump ahead if,
Nope, that's fine.
okay.
Okay, what page?
So I'm looking at page 29.
Okay.
Under the wastewater department expenditures, maintenance, plant, O&M, is that a situation where we've spent what we anticipated we would spend, or is there something there that would put us well over budget?
That's going to be on the operation and maintenance of the building, and I would have to go back and look and see if Simon remembers anything that we've had that's been a big expenditure there. Let's see.
It's maintenance, plant, O&M.
O&M. It's a-
That's just to maintain the operations of the plant as they currently exist. So there is always maintenance that happens, pumps that have to be replaced, SCADA issues, stuff like that. That all comes out of that budget.
So my question was, we're on track for that, or is there something much larger that you anticipate to happen there?
No, not with that line item.
Okay. And then the same thing on page 30, the sludge storage project.
Okay, that's a one-time project,
Okay.
and the budget that was for it was $250,000, and I think it's like 99% completed on your sludge. Yeah,
Okay.
There's not much left on the sludge, so that's just a one-time project.
Awesome.
Okay. And then transit.
Okay, so transit, let me see here. Oh, I just noticed on the revenue side, are we significantly down on the revenue side in transit?
I don't know if it's that we're down or sometimes we're waiting on his reimbursements from the state.
Okay.
Especially with the government shutdown and everything. sometimes, I mean, I guess that just happened, but sometimes his payments come in late because he has to submit them off, sign off on them, send them in, and then they have to send the reimbursement. So sometimes his income is a little bit off because he's had that expenditure go out, but he hasn't got that money back in from the reimbursement from the state or Fed.
Gotcha, because I went back and looked in July, it looked like we were at 40% of budgeted. And now into September is like 52%, so just curious about that.
I know that he had some big capital expenditures that we paid out in September because his tram came in and we paid the second half of his tram. And then, where's his? Yeah. So like if you'll look online on page 31 on line 8504121, reimbursement Arkansas Highway Department capital, we have 204,000 there budgeted.
Outstanding.
And so we haven't received anything because some of that stuff he was waiting on it to come in. Then once it comes in, he budgets, but we have to go ahead and pay for it. So
That makes sense.
that kind of affects his income.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Page 34 of 38, this is our capital expenditures of what we've purchased so far. We purchased the camera that is between streets, water, and sewer, both of Billy's cars. We purchased most of fire. We have now purchased, I can't say that tonight, purchased the containers that they're going to make into their training facility. They've got those going out there, so those will show up on a future that we've paid for them. And then the trolley buses, the 2 trolley buses are going to be rolled to 2026. He's ordered them, but they haven't, excuse me, they're not going to come in 2025. So we are going to roll those to 2026. So those will be on his new budget. Okay. The next page, this is just kind of a new one that I wanted to throw in there. It's kind of what Rochelle was talking about earlier. Just to kind of see where we're at on our rehab project and our sludge storage project. In 2025, we budgeted spending $474,000 towards that rehab project. We spent $345,000 through the end of September. And then on the sludge storage, we budgeted $250,000 and we spent $253,000. So. All right, next page, page 36. This is our comparative bank balances for the year end. For the month ending September 30th, we ended August with $5.5 million in the bank. We ended September with $5.4 million in the bank. The next page is just a graph, a bar graph to show you kind of how the balances go up and down over the year, kind of depending upon what we've got coming in and when we're spending our money. So, and then 38, this is our long-term liabilities. October 1, we did make our payment on the bond, so we paid that $292,000. So our next payment on it won't be until April, which will be an interest payment. We are paying our monthly solar lease project, so that'll be, we'll make that final payment in December for this year. And then our investments at the bottom of our CDs and that we have. So we have $835,000 in CDs.
Michael, can you explain to me, only because I've never really asked the question, how does the solar lease project work? What is it? What are we getting from it? Is our return?
The solar lease project was prior to me. I just make the payments. You, Mayor, do you want to address that?
Oh, it's been so long ago. We bought into a solar program where we are leasing solar, and they came in as part of the energy audit And so we are paying a fixed rate for our electric bill based, and then we're getting recouped and getting refunded for the amount of solar energy that's going to be credited back into our account. Because Eureka Springs does not have any flat area, we have to lease the solar panels. We've got leases from Carroll Electric and SWEPCO. Part of it in Berryville is part of the lease, and the other part, I wanted to say, is in Hope, Arkansas for the SWEPCO portion. And so what we get is credited a certain percentage of the power that's created from those panels back into our system.
Okay.
You might, I don't know if you remember or not, but it's been about a month or two ago, the gentleman from Integrity came and gave a presentation about the savings and that kind of stuff. That's what that's in regards to. It's to that program.
And he gives us an
annual.
annual
Yeah.
report on there, and that's what that was.
Yeah.
Mr. McClung?
Yeah, on the investments, that last CD, that water series,
Yes.
the rate's 193, what's the problem there?
So the problem with that is that was a CD that was tied to the 2008 bond. We had to open up a CD for it. It matured in 12/29 of 2024. The bank sent us the renewal notice. I'm sure they did. We did not get the renewal notice. We didn't have it. So they renewed it at the 1.93 instead of it going out for bid like it should have. This is no longer needed because it's not, that bond is paid off. So we will be closing that out next month when it matures.
And when does it mature?
12/29 of 25.
Oh, it's almost here.
Yep.
Well, will you buy another CD with that, or just go to the general fund, or what?
You know, I don't,
Curious.
we can do whatever we want
Me.
to. It could go into the water sewer fund because it's water sewer money. So we can put it into the water sewer fund. We can put it into another CD for the water sewer fund, whatever we want to do with it, because that bond is paid off, so it no longer has any obligations to it. So,
Okay.
all right, does anybody else have any questions? No? Okay, so in your packet tonight, you will have the 2026 budget that I'm passing out to y'all tonight. It's was fun to put together. So we tried to stay extremely flat on our revenues. We didn't anticipate much of an increase on sales tax, that kind of stuff, just more about inflationary figures. Tried to cut back as much as possible. You'll see some accounts that there's a large increase in. Our health benefits for our employees, we had a large increase per employee on that this year. So that went up quite dramatically. And so we don't have a lot of capital expenditures going forward for next year. The departments that have capital expenditures have good checking accounts with healthy balances in them, so they would not be looking from any source of revenue or anything to buy those capital expenditures. They're pretty healthy, mainly streets, there is some in water, but mainly streets and transit. So this is for y'all to look at, to kind of look through, and then we'll have, probably before the next council meeting, we'll have a budget workshop on it. That'll give y'all time to actually peruse through it. We'll have the department heads here. We'll probably have police, fire, transit. Those are the bigger budgets. So we'll probably have them here.
Try and set it up for like 4 o'clock or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, we'll do an extended one. So, and in the meantime, if you happen to see anything that you have a question about, please be sure and email me, and I'll I'll try to get you answers as soon as possible on them. So, yes, ma'am.
This reimbursement for CAPC, has that always been there?
The 44,000, yeah, that's the payment for the where we did the remodel on this building, and they agreed to pay for 75% of that remodel. So that's the payment. I think they have 2 more payments. This one, and they pay once a year.
2 more.
So, 2 more, yeah.
Mike, what,
Could've
without
asked him.
going through every department, what would you say, I know you said that the largest increase is going to be in health insurance.
Yes.
Roundabout for the entire city, what do you think?
Honestly, I've tried really hard to cut it as lean as I possibly can and not over anticipate revenue, but try to stick with budgets where our people can still operate and still give them the things that they've needed. We've really hammered back and forth with the department heads over, is this a want or is this a need? Do you have to have this right now, or is this something that can wait another year or whatever? So we've really whittled down a lot of that kind of stuff. We have went over our payrolls, we have went over taxes. Like I said, the insurance is, the overall increase, not just for health insurance, but the overall increase for the employees is $180,000. It's going up that much. So it's, you know, that's a huge, that's almost $200,000 you got to come up with there. We have been very conservative in our taxes, trying to figure out our taxes, and we're hitting pretty close. I was bragging to the mayor. I wanted another pen earlier today that if our taxes come in the month of December, we're going to be within $20,000 of what we projected them to be. So we're keeping that. We're trying to reach out for as many grants as we possibly can. I think this is going to be a season for grants that if you want something for your department, you're probably going to have to go out and find a grant to pay for it because there just isn't the extra cash there this right now. So I think we've worked really hard on that. The department heads have worked really hard. We've gone back and forth quite a bit. You're trying to figure out what our water is going to be because, we had the increase in rates just a few months ago. We're going to have another increase in January. So trying to estimate how much that's going to be. We've been very conservative on that. We also were getting a 5 cent per 1,000 gallon raise from Carol Boone on our water that we're purchasing. So we figured up how much water we used this year, how much would that have cost us? That's going to cost us about $9,000 to $10,000 more for our purchasing of water than it did last year. So we've looked at where we can get money, but we don't want. I'm very cautious about putting a huge revenue out there and then us not obtaining it. I'd rather us go over what I predicted than to be under. So we've been extremely conservative in this budget. So, and I think you guys will see that. You're going to see a lot of money moving around. Maybe they didn't need it in this category, so they took it out and then they moved it up here, so that we could facilitate things a lot better. We have some grants that are already in there. We do have some new programs that are in there that we'll talk about later. And so
I guess the reason I'm asking, I just want to make sure, we all knew that this was going to happen, but I want to make sure that, have our employees been affected, like a decrease in their health benefit?
No.
As opposed to an increase in cost?
That honestly is the mayor. We had the opportunity, there's 3 health plans out there that we can give. We can give good ones or we could give high deductibles. A lot of people are going to high deductible health plans. We went over those. The mayor, he's very adamant that he wants the best health care that we can give them because that's a benefit. We're constantly evaluating pay and pay scales to make sure that our people are adequately paid for, because, I mean, we live in the real world too, and we realize it's getting more and more expensive for them to have to buy groceries and everything else. So we work really hard on that to make sure we can pay them the maximum we can pay them. Jerry and I work really hard on trying to come up with benefits that don't cost the city a lot of money, like our SWEET program that we put in, a couple of things like that. We're trying to do some more of that kind of stuff to help as much as we can. The FSA program has helped a lot because it gives people the opportunity to put money to the side pre-tax to pay for their drugs. You know, and I had one employee come up to me at the last benefit fair, and he just came up and shook my hand and said, I want to thank you for the FSA. He said, I'm a diabetic, and he goes, nobody knows that, and I have a lot of medicines, and he goes, this is going to really, really help me. So we try to do as much as we possibly can within reason for that. The mayor, he's very adamant about, you know, taking care of our employees, not that I'm not, about taking care of our employees as best we can. And when we do review that a lot, we do comparisons with other cities of our size to see what they're paying for positions and things like that. We've had to add a few positions. We've added some things this year. You know, like with adding the gardener, that's been a big, we've had a lot of compliments on that about how much better places look. Even department heads have said their buildings look better. So we're trying, that saved us some money because we were paying 3 different lawn care services to take care of places. So we're looking for more efficient ways to do things better. So
Okay. Thank you.
We are trying that. So, like I said, if you have any questions at all, you know, over the next couple of weeks or before our next council meeting, please feel free to reach out to me. And even if it's just for an explanation or, you know, what were you thinking type question, anything like that.
And we do have within here cost of
Yes. Yes.
COLA and raises in through there. Several, I don't know how many years ago, I instituted the fact that if we do a 5%, that's not a 5% across the board. We got a COLA yearly 3, but we also have performance evaluation that's required. That's never been required before. So each employee is evaluated, and they can get up to another 2% on there.
And how we figure that is we figure budgets like, say Billy has 2 openings right now. I go ahead and figure all of that cost of that salary in there depending upon, you know, and for the whole year, even if he doesn't hire for a couple of months or whatever. We figure a 5% raise for every employee, then it's up to the department head to determine that extra 2% of how much the employee gets based upon their performance. But we do, these calculations that you see here do include salaries at a 5% raise for all of our employees. So. You're okay.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
All right. As usual, good job, Michael.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me know if you need
Appreciate it,
anything, guys.
Michael.
All right, be
Thank you,
sure if you have any questions and looking over this next year's budget to get a hold of myself or Michael, and we can get the answers back out to you before the meeting. So with that, we will conclude our budget workshop and reconvene in approximately 15 minutes. So thank you all.